And we're back, but really unstable. Internet's really acting up. Okay. So I think what we'll do when we animate the overlay is we'll add onto this the fire for her hair, maybe the fire for the nightmare, and then maybe a glow on her on their sword. Transform. Let's reset this. Let's put it in the middle of the screen. Center to screen. Bang. Do the same thing with the alert box. We'll reset the transform, just center to screen, and then we'll move it down. You know what? I'm going to drop that. Sorry, vertical YouTube. So that pops up in the middle. And then when you chat, it'll pop up. So let's see what we do to make the screen. Start with maybe like glowing sword. Let's see, call it sword. Loop, use hardware. We'll browse to a web. What do we think? Like a blue glowing line, or let's try that first. And so I have this WebM. It glows a little blue. Obviously, we don't want the background part of it. So maybe what we're going to do is add the filters to it. Let's pop open this display. So it's blue. It's got a dark background, right? So we want to make sure we account for that. So we'll add an effect, color key. We'll say custom color. We want to get rid of the black. So we select the color, it's black, and then we can use these sliders. You see how the dark background went away on this element. Now we can move it around however we want. You turn it, We can make it bigger, which is ideally what we're going to do. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just, after all, we're just setting this up. Right, but that's, you know, a way to add an animated glowing element. You want it to be under the chat in the background. There you go. We'll add another filter to it. We can just change the color of it, which is color correction. We say yes. What color do we want it? Does it need to be more aquamarine to match the background? It's like she's got a lightsaber or something. Let me just lock that in. Said we wanted to add like glowing hair. I think I have some media source or fire element for that. What do we think? Add the slow burn fire. Copy the filters on the sword. Not perfect, but you can adjust the color if you want to be. And if we wanted to get really creative or clever, we can just get an image mask that would cover all of this with an alpha filter, white to black, and it would pop up. You say, hey, I don't like this chat because I don't like it at the moment. We'll get rid of that. And what does it look like with? Need to find a curved flame, which shouldn't be too difficult. Got a lightsaber in hell. Yeah, I'll fix that. And get a better glowing sword. You know, we don't want these in between screens to be too flashy. That's kind of how I would build each section. We say, okay, let's duplicate this. Scene 2, let's call it the break. Be right back scene. Because that would be next. Transition to that scene and replace the background with another WebP we have from the module. Get rid of this media source. And say we want to add a candle. Go in and look at your media sources, WebMs. I have a bunch of different ones that we use, vids, effects, output, WebM, candle. There's my candle. Filter, color key, green. Crank it up. We don't like that color too much. Let's do some color correction, and we say it needs to be more red or more flame color like a candle. Then you just have a little bit of a interaction there with that. Looks like I'd have to create a scene from scratch. Let's add all the stuff. Since most of it's going to be same. Reference, music, copy, paste reference. All works the same. Even my ugly face, paste reference. Add an image, overlay. Let's call it DRB background. Drop it to the bottom. There's kind of like your be right back screen. Hey, I'll be right back. It has the same chat. It has everything else. You can even cast Fireball.
Hallowed RPG said they didn't ask how big the room was, they cast Fireball.
Let's go back and add that media source candle. Filter, color correction, color key, excuse me. It's kind of green. We don't want it to be green. We add the smoothness. Now let's add a color correction to make it more orange, yellow, less green. Burn in the midnight oil. Right, that's kind of give you some interaction. I like to, when I create the overlays, to have like them just to have an element that I can animate, just to give some uniqueness to it. Like a candle, or like the flames on their hair, glowing sword, whatever. Let me rename this to something. I'll probably change it later. And then we'll do an ending or a raid scene. Ending scene. We want to have all these elements so they all just pop up, and get rid of the candle in this scene. Let's do an ending scene. Export. Oops. We'll export it with 90% quality. Drop in the image. Ending background. And those are like the screens that are somewhat intermediate screens, holding screens. There's no real action that happens here. So we will start crafting a battle map scene. We need this. Chat won't be in there. Alert box will be there. Display capture will be there. So we're kind of good on these. We're going to go ahead and close them out. It's easy to just drop in any kind of element you want with it. But now we have the battle screen, right? We have player cams on the bottom. I usually start with a battle screen. Player cams or PNG tubers on the bottom. On the right hand side, since I use Foundry, I like to just drop in the Foundry roller so people can see. Some people like to roll dice and, in not virtually. I like to do it virtually because I can hook into it. And like do some automations from OBS. Like one of the ones I did was whenever somebody rolled a natural 20, the Chromium would find the location of the dice and the person on the screen who just rolled in. And if it hits a natural 20, it would read it from the Chrome log and then go find the dice and then put a explosion overlay that this person just critted wherever the dice was on the screen. And at the time we had the whole screen. We're using this slash stream of the Foundry module, or the Foundry platform, which gave you a green screen and you could see where it is. So it was pretty cool. At least I thought it was pretty cool. On the left, I typically would have like some kind of slideshow for module art, character art. But the first thing we want to do we want to get a background, we can go just find a background and place it over to be used. Let's go JPEG. File. Oh, I know why. Because it's going to be asking for an image. I like to have something that pops in the background, just so it kind of jumps out from everybody. That's a gigantic image. Again, I don't like to cover the faces too much, but maybe something peeking through. Right, and we'd use that as a mask. So I was eyeballing a couple of different things I wanted to use for the borders on the top section and the bottom section. So I think we'll just go, typically create an assets folder or file folder or whatever to bring stuff in. So I was looking at a image that was out of the printable handout. I get this from Tessa Maps. She does maps for all the modules. Exports the art. It's really cool stuff. Art in this one is pretty crazy. Like super high res, right? I'm at 30%. Thing's gigantic. So I was looking for this. Let's go back up to the top. I'm going to use probably this. For the cam borders. Let's just drop this in our asset section, even though it's going to be gigantic. It's fine. We just need one corner, really. And then maybe this middle section. And that we'll use that for like the player cam borders. There was another one I saw that was kind of more organic, or it wasn't it. It was another one. It was this one, El Terrell. Right, I want to highlight this corner because this will be used for the bottom section, and highlight this corner. Well, maybe I'll just flip them over, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me look at something. I crashed and that was unfortunate. So I think I want to just isolate this corner for the time being. I know, don't, everybody says don't cut it up, don't, but I mean, I'm using Affinity Photo 2, which is like, not as robust as Photoshop, but it's also way less expensive, 30 bucks lifetime, or at least until the next version comes out, which lasts you like 2 years, 3 years, which is way better than paying 50 bucks a month for the whole Photoshop suite. I'm way more familiar with Illustrator and Photoshop, but here we are. Let me rasterize this layer. Paste it. And do the same for this section down here. And I might come back to it later. This guy's not going anywhere. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to mask this off so we get a nice clean, nice clean lines for the borders. Tell you what, though, I really need to learn the shortcut keys because I take way too long. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's do this first. We're just masking off. This section so we can really draw in some borders. Yes. This is like old school, like CS2 Photoshop, where it didn't have all the awesome tools, as many as the awesome tools that they had nowadays, and you would have to just go in pixel by pixel and clean up images. Now you can just like grab a selection, auto mask, filter it in. For those of you who like AI, give me a new background in the city with the sun behind them, so on and so forth. Tedious, yes. Easier way to do it in Affinity, probably. Therapy for me, sure. Take a long time, probably. Let's add a layer underneath that is different color. And we will also add an outline. To give it some contrast to where we're working. Best thing about using a mask is you can fix it even though I was painting on the pixels. Oopsie. Maybe I should make my outline red so I don't, purple, so I don't accidentally paint on it. You see how you, with that outline, it kind of drags itself back in as you mask out the gray element or the beige elements. Doesn't have to be perfect. You know, God forbid. Even though I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Where are you at? All the way over here. Because we're going to shrink it down. Shrink the size down so it fits on that canvas. What's up, Nuxter? That food you posted looked like that stuff was ridiculous. What is it? In Dirty Rollers RPG stuff? The pork ribs, baked pork ribs in plum Asian sauce with coriander, or what I like to call cilantro. That stuff looks bomb, dude. Yeah, I have to get these all done anyways, because I just want this corner, right, the red, because I'm going to use it on the overlay, right? Just get rid of all of it. Just I'm sure that there's way easier ways to do this, but here I am. At least I know it'll be right at the end. Or usable. I'm not sure if right's the right word. I'm no David North art. I'm more of a hack, but I'm a tech guy who likes making tech things. And so we're going to turn this into an overlay for descent into Avernus, the module. And it's going to be fun. And if you want your own animated 5-scene overlay for OBS Studio or Streamlabs, join my Patreon. Since nobody's on the champion tier, nobody gets to tell me what to do except for that one person who joins. That's my capitalist plug for the day. All right, I'm done. I'm using the green screen so I can just see the contrast between the colors. I'm using the purple outline just so I can get close to this red section without cutting too much off. Thanks for the follow, Nexter. I appreciate that. And you ever want to get my attention, you can just cast Fireball. Sometimes I just get locked in. See how this bumps right here? That's why I use the outline. Same with this top one. There's a little bump. I can get close without destroying the red section. Too bad. I know people like to stream the D&D and Pathfinder modules, and what I'm really doing it here is giving an opportunity to make it look halfway decent. Areas for the cams and stuff without them having to, spend all day pulling their hair out trying to figure out how to do animated sections on their overlay, and then just like, here, you can have this. You don't even have to work too hard. Almost done with this section. Nerdy Sakura. What's a good word? I have no guards. My tavern's open 24/7. Comes free beer, or meat, or ale, or wine, or pig's milk, as my players would say. I knew it would. Yes, of course. We use it to wash the dishes and the tables and all that good stuff. Had to yell at the bard there for a second. He stopped playing music. I apologize if you hear my son cursing in the background. Well, he's not little, he's a grown-ass man, but playing Overwatch. Okay. How will we have roasted fish ale without the ale? Without the ale becoming like asks. I know. Sometimes it's the NPC names, and other times you just trip over your words. Because you're trying to over describe something, and you come up with roasting fish ale instead of roasting fish and ale. Nice. And then your players just stomp all over your hard work. Nerdy Sakura says, I'm now getting ready to work on a D&D character's family tree again, so I'll try to find a streamer to have a second monitor while I work. I'll appreciate that. I appreciate that. We're not doing much D&D. We did have a session last night, and the party barely survived, and they leveled up from 1 to 2. I didn't realize that crit on Caesar last night almost very much killed him outright. Oh, I have a table. Like, I'm super big into the automation stuff. And I built it off of a Google sheet. And I'm like, I click a button and it tells me who they are, what race they are, what gender, if any, and what they're wearing. And if they're like somebody important, it'll give an expanded description, which is super cool. Because I learned long ago, they're going to say, what was the guy sitting on the bench in the park's name? I'm going to go back and say hello. I'm like, oh, here we go. Since we mostly play online nowadays. Because some of us are in other parts of the world. I had a sneeze. Other parts of the world, it's easy to just help. Dirty rollers, what's a good word? How's everything, man? Hope everything's going well. I am just creating my Descent into Avernus animated overlay. Saw the Pathfinder one that I just did. I was super motivated on that. And I knocked that thing out in like 3 days. Just a couple hours here and there. Hardest part was finding a font that was somewhat similar. Blue Phoenix. How did Elden Ring go today? How's everything? What you use for animation? I just use the built-in media source inside OBS and then animation. If I need a specific animation type or whatever, I'll use Vegas to create it and then output it into WebM. I have this FFmpeg program that I use to turn it into a WebM. I do it to save space on my hard drive. But most of the stuff was done, or at least in the past was done with After Effects. But then I stopped paying Adobe all that money for their suite because it's expensive and I don't want to. I just want to be retired. Time's your game start? 45 minutes-ish? Yeah, I switched from Photoshop, which is why this looks a little different. This is Affinity Photo 2, which does what I need it to do for the time being. Doesn't have any of that other stuff, but I got it on sale on Black Friday for $30. And it's not a subscription. It's just... I can work way faster in Photoshop, but you know. It works pretty good, man. I mean, it doesn't have all that automation AI stuff, and you got to get used to the shortcuts. And it's more like a CS2 than it is Photoshop 2025, because it just doesn't have all the stuff. But I'm not doing anything crazy, to be honest with you. I used to do stuff like this all day long back in the day. Cleaning up pictures and photos and oh. Oh, that's very cool. Nerdskura. Back in high school, we had a class that we used technology to help the community. That's dope.
Richard said they didn't ask how big the room was. They cast Fireball.
Hey, Richard, how are you? You missed a pretty exciting session yesterday.
Becoming Aleko said they didn't ask how big the room was. They cast Fireball.
So I have this Fireball effect that it costs 200 channel points, which is half as much as a resilience buff for the players. And so when my players come here, they blow all their channel points on Fireball instead of like trying to buff themselves during the game. Super cool. It's like bait. I was thinking after the session, becoming Aleko, if you guys didn't take out those 2 other gobs on the other section, somebody would have been dead. Hey, Richard, I was talking to the group after the game, and I think they were saying that a later start time works fine, so you can't skip anymore. Certainly not 10:30, but you know what I mean. Is it raining by your house, Rich? Nerdskura says, as a tiefling, rogue, arcane trickster, I love Fireball because I can point blank do it and take a quarter damage or 0, most likely 0, right? Well, most enemies take full or half, for sure. I wonder if you can do like Arcane Trickster int based with a evocation wizard, and so you just, you know, make sure you're all nice and cozy in there up close, and then just make attack Fireball. Yeah, but everybody said they preferred a later start time. Me and Randy are super flexible, so we had to wait for Aleko to get there anyways, because my schedule coordination is obviously lacking. So we're going to target 7:30 next Tuesday. Well, I meant like sneak attack in the way that's like you won't get hurt and you'll do a crap ton of damage as you sneak up on them and attack with your Fireball, just because you can and not get hurt. Is Arcane Trickster a subclass still in 2024? I think so, right? I'm just giving you grief, Aleko. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. So this guy, oh, I gotta sneeze. 1 second. Pardon me. So see, I'm going to use these as these borders for these sections. So I'm wondering how thick I have to make them, or thin. Because the other section is pretty darn big, this section here. And I want to make sure that I line them up appropriately. Otherwise, everybody's just going to get this corner section all the way around, which honestly isn't the worst thing. The assets are pretty good, right? Character family tree we're working on is 2024 character, and the rare time I'm not playing Arcane Trickster Rogue. The background is Silvira Savicas, a prominent person from Descent into Avernus AP, and super awesome. It's one of the only modules I've completed in probably the last few years. We did it before COVID. Where is she? Yeah, that's the image I used for the mask on the background. She's opening some box. The moment we did it so long ago, I can't remember what she was opening. So I wanted to use this as a background. In this section, just to give it some contrast and color from left to right, really bright on the right, upward, and then a little bit darker on the left. But one thing I don't like to do is to cover people's faces. Maybe instead of putting something over it, I can draw her in here. Let's see, changing my mind 300 times. Yeah, that's the Fertile Puzzle Box. Yes, very cool. That's right. I remember. Well, I didn't remember. You told me. Oh, that. And so this middle section would be the section where I put the battle map or the overlay. And so I want to give this upper section its own style of border elements that ties into the module. But this has got to get smaller, at least. I think that's a good size, yeah. Oops. Wrong one. There we go. Yeah, I think I'll just use this as the corners, and then I'll flip the flame right side up when I duplicate it. Whoops, that's not going to work. Where you at? So we group all those together, and there we have the border for the map. And we just get to whoopsie. No, that's not it. That's not what I'm supposed to be. The map goes in there, and we just add some shadow. Let's see. I'm going to keep a section and drop it on my assets section, the right size, just so I have a copy, because I'm going to merge it